Wobbly Wallaby, and today I'm going to discuss how to make an effective Arcane Master water converter. Why would I convert a target to a water type? The primary reason is to convert the boss to a water element so classes like NoGu can deal double damage to them with Card Tornado. Also, cards that target water monsters can also be used for even more damage. I wasn't satisfied with how long it took me to kill Comodo and Thanatos Tower bosses when I try to carry others. I wanted to see if an Arcane Master slave on auto attack could help my Novice Guardian out. Creating an Arcane Master on a new account is easy because of the accelerated character feature. You can get one character in your account to Warlock on day 1. As a result, you have access to Warlock's skill Frosty and Misty right away. It only takes about another hour to go through some quests to make sure you can unlock Arcane Master by day 2. And I think it's worth the time if you plan on farming with this account. Having a sleeve account has multiple benefits. If you do dailies and farm, you can also make this your mentee so you can get more mentor medals which you can use towards buying mentor potions for increasing your combat time per day. Also, if you need to ghost trade anything, you can use this account to help buy your stuff from the exchange using the Zenny you earn from Chain Lightning farming. Chain Lightning farming is simple, and I go through a guide for newly accelerated Arcane Masters in this video. See the link in the description. I'm using the Arcane Master that I made for that video called Ultra Unicorn. Even though it is level 133, what I am showing can be done with a level 120 character as well. Next, what skills do I use? Here are my skills. For Warlock skills, I didn't max out White Barrier because I wanted to farm as well. If you don't plan to farm, then max out White Barrier and take out points from Elemental Enhancement. The MVP skill here is Frost Misty, which gives you a 40% chance to convert the armor to water. The percentage is great and the duration is great, so this is an absolutely wonderful skill. When you make enough Zenny, you can also buy the Title Shoe and Silk Robe set, and then you can put in the auto attack skill. This combination is optional since it only has a 10% chance, so it's definitely not as reliable. This is just some extra insurance. Next for stats. The most important thing is to max out int, then put enough dex to have no cast time for Frost Misty. Every 30 dex points will remove 1 second of cast time. The rest I did a mix of vitality and agility. Without investing a ton into gear, you won't be able to hit the max attack speed, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd rather just have a cheap build in gear and more heavily rely on Frost Misty to do the conversion, instead of the Silk Robe and Title Shoes combo. Next is my gear. I'm mostly using the gear that comes from progressing through the growth index for a newly accelerated character. I use the ancient equipment Other Shore Web for less cast time. You can replace this with something else and just add more dex if you don't have enough to instant cast Frost Misty. For armor, I use the Silk Robe for the 10% chance to turn the target into a water target. For garment, I use the Epic Spirit Beacon Cape. For shoes, I use the Title Shoes for the combo. For accessories, I use the Epic Spirit Beacon necklaces. One of them has the Moonlight Tendrillon card, which I use for farming. For weapon, I use the Epic Spirit Feather. Again, I have cards from farming. For head, I use the original chant. It is good for more int. For face, I use Dean's glasses. For mouth, I use the Key of the Stars, which is just for farming since I don't have a better mouth. For back, I use Graduation Song. And for tail, I use the School Building Administrator. I don't bother investing in survivability gear, since I don't expect my Arcane Master to live long. White Barrier provides enough protection, and I wanted to show that the default gear is good enough. Next, here are my NoGu gears and stats. I use the Dragonbone Shield with the Meryl Roland card for the damaged MVPs. For armor, I use the Truth Expositor, with the Saroma card. For garment, I use the White Duke's Manteau with the Rowene card. For footgear, I use the St. Mary's cloth shoes with the Gazzetti card. For my accessories, I use the Ring of Contract with the Moonlight Tenderlin card. For my other accessory, I use the Fox Teeth with the Moonlight Tenderlin card. For weapon, I use the Destroyer's War Axe with 2 Minoris cards. For head, I use the Abyssal Cry with the Norman card. I use the Abyssal Cry since I'm facing a large monster and it's an MVP. For face, I use the +12 Epic Spirit Lightning. For mouth, I use the Butterfly Breath. For back, I use the Haunted Candlestick. And for tail, I use the Prince of Thunder. With self buffs, I have 18,500 attack. My penetration is 37%. Skill damage is 14%. Damage is 94.6%. And physical damage increases at 75.5%. My wind damage is at 56.4%. And my damage against water is 34%. There are great water damaging cards, which is why it's great to use these if you know the target is water. If you want to view my in-depth stats and gear, you can watch this video from about a week ago. This is my NoGu progression video, and I'll put a link in the description. Next, let's do the first run in Ponape Museum Brave. The dragon typically takes some time for me to kill if no one is converting. In the past, I cannot beat the dragon without a saint keeping me alive, reviving me, and providing buffs. So I wasn't even sure if converting was good enough. Of course, this strategy isn't 100% successful, as sometimes the conversion doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it doesn't go very well, especially since I swapped out a bunch of my cards. It did take 2 attempts before it was successful. I put my Arcane Master on auto, and then switch back to my main. He floats his way to his doom. I go towards the dragon, but then I see I will spawn a poison pool soon, so I don't want to die from the death circles overlapping with one another, so I run away temporarily. My slave had died, but he converted the dragon. I normally cannot hit the dragon for 7 to 8 million per card tornado tick. Even though it only lasted a few seconds, that was enough to do a lot of damage. The effect wears off, so my damage is lower, but I had burst him down fast enough before. This was much faster. For one last test, I did the chest boss. What I wanted to show in this video is how amazing White Barrier is at keeping my slave alive. I expected my unicorn to have died long ago. He had plenty of time to cast Frost Misty, so I can burst him down. I'm also able to hit this boss for about 7 to 8 million per tick. The Slave Water Converted worked out very well, and I'll be using this whenever I need to help carry a weekly instance, like Thanatos Tower or Ponape Museum. I'm especially happy that both characters can be controlled without too much effort, and the slave can still farm efficiently normally. It worked out so well that I may invest in the Galleon card to give even more damage to water monsters. The damage would have been even higher if I had 1 or 2 of these cards. If you're carrying as NoGu and need that extra boost in damage, I'd highly recommend you try it out. If you're converting, make sure people in your party know so they can adjust their skills and elemental converters appropriately. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe.